Okay, so hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we have Bolu. She's cooking for me today. I can't be friends with this girl because she likes to make me fat. I can't be fat. Summer 2022 is coming and she's trying to make me fat. Alright guys, I'm about to try Bolu's food. Look how amazing that looks. She even cleaned the sides so it would look clean. And then her plate. Yo, she's wifey material. Get you a Bolu. She cleans the sides for it to look presentable. I don't even do that. But I need to because my husband is watching. Sponsored by Mountain Dew.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew and husband material.
Exactly. 101. Oh yeah, you do. I totally forgot. Oh my gosh. Because it's already ice.
I mean, but like ice is like a condiment.
Oh no. Okay.
Ice is a little bit like a condiment,
Okay.
is it not?
I don't know. Okay. Lord, we pray that you bless this food and you nourish it, bless those that made it, those that manufactured it, and brought it over. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Never pray for the manufacturers of my life.
Yeah, me either. I just recently started doing that, but I'm like, is this like
Why?
kid thing to do? I don't know, because I feel like my prayers are too quick, so I wanted to make it a bit longer. And I'm like, okay, think about those that made it, those that brought it over to, Canada for us
That's
to
interesting,
eat it,
actually.
and then
yeah.
people that like put it on the shelves. So the whole process of it coming here. But yeah, A1. We waited a bit long, so it's not like hot, but it's good because I can feel the spice. So if it was hotter, I'd be like, this is a homemade mukbang, as you can see. Because we didn't buy any food.
Accurate.
She made food. So yeah, homemade mukbang. And hopefully y'all like watching people eat while they talk. Are you a fan of that?
No, not really.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I like mukbangs, but like people eat weird. I eat weird, so I don't know if I would want to watch
You eat normal. I've seen people swallow the plate.
Oh.
They just go like, I'm like, whoa.
On camera?
Yeah.
Manners.
Yeah, they always just like have the plate. Once I see them lift that plate close to their mouth, because I've never actually like watched a full mukbang. That's not like my style. But when I see them come up in like compilations or something, and I see people lift to that plate, it's over. Once they lift that plate. Because in my mind,
Just eat the whole thing.
like the fact that your plate is not on the table is like you're threatening
Problem
us.
number one.
That's a problem. Why is your plate not on the
Red
table?
flag. So we are talking about church today. So a few days ago, we were talking to our friend Eddie, and we were just like having an amazing discussion about like church, political churches, big churches, small churches. And so far in 2022, the churches have been all over the news. From Pastor Mike Todd spitting on his brother's face to...
I did not hear
You
that.
didn't hear about that?
Oh my days.
What?
Oh, about it.
That's another story. To allegations of like pastors, sexual assault allegations in the churches as well.
Yep.
To a very recent one, a female pastor dying after being beaten by her husband. You heard that one?
I heard that.
That one was...
That was mad.
What?
It was a mad thing.
So yeah, a lot has been happening for churches, and it's just like, why? And then these are like a lot of the reasons why people don't even want to go to church. How do you feel about like people who don't go to church?
Well, I'm just gonna take a little sippy sip. I think there's like two major categories, right? Category of people who just like don't go to church. And the second category that has like grown bigger now, especially since COVID, that group that would much rather just go to church virtually.
Yeah.
That they don't want to like physically interact with people. They don't want the drama of church. They just want the word.
They just want the
without
word.
drama.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like I understand that. And for a while, I was almost that person because I'm the type of person who grew up in the church. And it used to be so foreign to me when like I understood like when people don't go. But it's always like, it's never been something I've ever done where I'm like, I'm not physically going to church. Like, I used to go to church.
On your own, like, made that decision.
Yeah. I've grown up going to church like at least 3 times a week. Because Girl Sunday.
I don't even go 3 times a week. Wait, because you're also involved too.
I was, I can't say I was because I still am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you still are very much involved.
Very much involved in church.
Very much.
But I grew up going Sundays and on Tuesdays for Bible study and Thursdays for prayer meetings. And sometimes, like, my parents are practical. Like, when I have something crucial to do, have something important, they'll, like, stay back home. Like, my parents...
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
They're understanding.
They're understanding. Like, my parents are the coolest.
If it's like constant, though, will they still be, like, you can stay back home? Or...
Yes, if I'm constantly, like, if school is, like, they're always, like, priorities first, right? Okay. So that, like, if you're busy in school, even last week Sunday, because, you know, I'm in the middle of, like, a lot of projects right now. Last week Sunday, my mom was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't. My mom was the one, because I was going to go. My mom was like, it's not going to be wise to go, like, just stay back. And I
feel guilty if I don't go. I feel fine I'm not going, like, for the first 2 weeks, but then I feel like, no, I need to go. As long as you get that time with God within the week, or whenever you can, doesn't have to just be that day. I actually just joined virtually. It's not like I didn't go. So like I was working, but I just like played in the background, multitask. And you can't really do that when you're physically there. Again, I'm involved. So, but that's why I had to like separate that, because like I feel like the experience, as much as I value physically going and having that community, and I value what that does for me, but at the same time, not to dwell on this, but just to represent everybody out there. But at the same time, there are people who still believe and are actually getting the same experience from being at home, and just not like going physically. But there's strength in community, I think. Like even outside the church, even once you have like, when you're in like a new program or something, having friends with your course mates always is better, because you're not going it alone. And sometimes, like I said this a few days ago, like most of the time we that have been to church for a long time, we almost know everything. So like when you said that really hit me. Like when she said that, say it again. Let them hear it.
I can't say exactly the same
No,
way,
it's okay.
But like when you keep going to church for like a very long time, you get to the point where everything you hear, it seems familiar, because you've almost heard everything. And so it just becomes like more or less repetition. So what you're going to church for no longer becomes like just hearing the word. It becomes like, let me remind myself.
Like if you mess up during the week, you go to church. Okay, I needed to hear this to remind myself. Because even though I knew it, I needed to hear from someone else, because I knew like I messed up. But now I know that God is really forgiving me. When she said that, I'm like, that is so true. And then I heard the word, and I'm like, I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, girl, she spoke to me. Spoke to me.
But yeah, like, because we get to that point where we feel like we know, right? But like that's what the community is for. That's why they always like, people are always shouting like, find a church, go to church, find a community church, because it does help to be physically immersed in the company of Christians, true Christians. It helps because like the conversation you have, very much. I know like church is very performative. That's one thing. Another thing that's like common among Christians. Church is very, you go to church and you understand how you're expected to behave. So it's easy to perform in church. And when you have friends outside church, people are very different people outside church.
Switch.
Switch. People
so
switch.
Quick.
But like when you have friends that are Christians, or when you have friends from the church community
that are actually growing,
exactly, and want to grow, like you guys might definitely, I'm not even going to lie, like to be honest, when you leave the church, there's a tendency to be carnal, there's a tendency to be human, but like you guys would be in each other's company and you learn to like call each other out, like you did this and this, and maybe that's not the best way to have gone about that, and it just helps. And the only way you can build those communities is like physically going to church. If not, you're not anybody. People in your YouTube comment section.
But like for me, I feel like I've always tried to like find a reason why people should go to church, and like I understand why people don't, and I understand why people do. And for me, like I feel like I always have to because I was born and raised in the church. I understand. I didn't really like it going at first, but then I understood like why I go, and then I made that decision for myself to go because I knew it helps me grow. Like it helps me grow because God uses people to speak to me. One thing I realized is that like going to church is like going to the gym to lose weight or you have like a fitness goal. That's the same thing as going to church. You have a spiritual goal to either get closer to God or to, just have that connection. And so you go to church to get that sense of to feel his presence, to hear from him, whether it's through the pastor or through a friend, even through someone you don't even know and you see at church and they say something to you. Like that's God, using them to speak to you through the church. Like church is not just a building. It's not even a building. It's like you and me. It's like we're 2 or 3 are gathered. Like there I am. So like God wants us to be in a community like you were saying. And I feel like people just abuse it. So my next question would be, what do you think about people that like use their power to like abuse church?
Like a big question.
I know.
It's so big because like there's so much like
generally you don't have to focus on one.
Yeah, because abuse of power is very nuanced, right? Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's sexual abuse. It's like all sorts of things. And like growing up, we always learn in church like be careful how you speak about or how you like refer to the anointed or like your leaders, your spiritual leaders. And it's always been a concern for me because I understand that like spiritual leaders are human too, and also growing up as a child of a pastor, like I grew up with a great, like my parents are really great. Like I acknowledge that my parents are very different. They're a very different type of like pastor. They're like old school pastors with like young spirits. And my dad could easily be a youth pastor. I kid you not. And so because the way I grew up, my dad is the type of person who, when he's wrong, he's the type of person to apologize to you and like admit like I'm wrong. He's always been that person.
And he's African. We love to see it. Oh my gosh, we love to see it.
Yeah, because like there's some times that some things he's done. Like there's a time there was something he wanted me to do, and I just didn't like. I was taking time to do it because I didn't see the justification for doing it. Because like he had said do this thing. Actually, he had told me to reach out to someone, and there was no logical reason to. Like
I just wanted you to do it.
He had his own reasons, but I felt like again like it's my choice, right? And the good thing is my parents have always enforced like your choice. Sometimes they'll guide you like school, you must go. But smaller things. So smaller things like that is like reach out to this person. And I just didn't see the justification. And I just told him, like after some time, he kept saying it, I didn't. And he's like, I told you. One time he got upset. He was like, I told you to reach out to this person. And I was just like, but why? Like I just genuinely like
there was no why to it.
I just slipped
so
out.
It's
just
not
like
that important.
Yeah, I was just like, but why? Like genuinely, like what am I going to like? The reason you've given, I understand, but it doesn't seem justified enough to reach out to this person. And in that moment, he just kept quiet. He was like, you know what? You're right. On the spot. To today, like till today, I hold that in my heart. Like I was just like, this man's incredible. Because my dad.
Shout out to you, Dad.
Shout out to you, Dad. Because like he literally like it wasn't like a conversation like back and forth. I was just like, but why? Like genuinely like, what am I going to get out of this? And he just sat down and just took a deep sigh. Like it's like, you know what? You're right. And that was the end of it. And that was the end.
I didn't reach out to the friend.
I didn't reach out to the person. But that was love, right?
Yeah.
And that's a leader who's a listener and someone who's like willing to take in what you have to say and correct themselves. Yeah. And that's because he has the Spirit of God. Number of the rambling is that because I was talking about like how he has like a bit of like back and forth to people in church, but like it's never from a place of malice. And he's a leader, right? And so it's a very thin line when you're dealing with as a leader with the congregation, right? And one thing I would like to even say, because like one thing I've learned from scandal is like the loudest voices usually win. Doesn't mean they're always correct. And I think people, when we see scandals, is the loudest voice. We're like, and victims and the loudest victims. I'm not victim shaming. I would never victim shame. But sometimes, like we've learned, but our blindness to like critically evaluating situations or seeking like truth in situations cause us to pick the easiest side, which is the victim side.
Yeah. Because they finish, so they have to be right.
Yeah. And again, I don't mind that, because like if you start to turn your nose up at everyone who has a case, then in that sea, genuine people will be hurt. Like people who have been hurt won't get justice. So I understand that, but like the first approach should be sympathy, and then from there, truth should be sought, right? Sympathy is good, so you care about what's going on, especially in the church. It's good we're asking questions. People have been Catholic Church, unfortunately. Young altar boys have been raped, and now that people know that they're being abused and people care, now they're like inquiring more into that. And I think that care is very important. And it helps us keep ourselves like accountable. At the same time, it's easy for things to spiral out of control. And so as much as like we're being critical of our ministers, like we should also allow our hearts not harden the moment we hear something.
That part,
like the moment you hear it, the first thing like you're angry and your heart is hardened. And
oh my god, that's a really good point. Like it's easier said than done, but like we're very quick to react. It's like a human thing. But like you said, you shouldn't harden your heart. Like be open and willing to like hear from other people's perspective and hear from their side, and not just like they're attacking me kind of thing. Because mostly it's like you're hardening your heart because you feel attacked, but the person's not trying to attack you. They're just trying to tell you, speak truth to you.
It's hard to tell truth, especially when it's like she said, he said, and it's just two people that are in a room when something happens, and the moment the information comes out, it's hard. Because some people are great with rhetoric. Some people are great with like making themselves seem honest. Like they know the psychology of making themselves look like they're telling the truth. And you might never know till the day we die. We might never know the truth.
People are great liars.
People are great liars.
It's disgusting. Like, cause me, I'm very like easily, when I say gullible, I can be gullible. So like if you tell me something, I'll literally believe you. Especially if I don't know you. So for you to lie to me and not end up telling me is like another thing.
It's human to have your own angle to a story. It's not human. It's not Christian to lie about your angle of the story. But we've seen it, right? And sometimes even ministers, they're human, might lie. It's not out of the possibility, realm of possibility that there are lies being told in the mix of things. And there are people being hurt. But the truth is, it's hard to tell most times what the truth is because you weren't there. So I think the first thing people should consider is, I wasn't there. That's the first thing when you hear something.
It's just like people are so quick to like believe what they see on social media, but you weren't there. So how are you gonna fully know that actually happened? Or what they were thinking, or how this resulted to this. Like the Will Smith scandal, people are trying to figure out why he did it, what happened before, what happened after. But it's like, you weren't there. You're not in his mind. You're not the wife. You're not Chris Rock. So you don't know anything. So you shouldn't try to figure out what happened, because that's just going to cause you stress. And you're just going to end up being like, what if you're wrong? You're most likely going to be wrong because you don't know their situation. So don't try to assume and be like, yeah, this is what happened. Just be like, I wasn't there, I don't know. Like that's how I've been thinking lately, like about situations. If I'm not there, I'm not going to be so invested when it's not even my problem. So the question of the day is,
there's a question of the day.
To wrap up this video,
I didn't read for this test.
The question of the day is, are we canceling churches in 2022? My answer is no. Like I go to church on a regular, so for me, it's like when you find the right church, you won't stop going.
So essentially, I don't think it's practical because like it's such a big establishment, and there's so many, like, even if you cancel churches, like, again, churches, just to put out that churches are not about the people. Like, it's obviously like Christianity has gone through a lot and it's been perverted by Christians, unfortunately, and churches are an extension of that, and they've been perverted by the actions of leaders and the actions of people. But I think we should not lose focus, and the focus is Christ. So if a church doesn't work for you, it's better to just move to somewhere that works for you.
Yeah.
There's so many churches.
Yeah, easier said than done. Have a relationship with God, like, for yourself. Don't always trust in what, a pastor might say, because they don't always have it right as well. They can be wrong at times. And yeah, that is our closing statement.
Yep. You know God for yourself. The first point of contact when you hear a story is, I wasn't there.
I like that one.
So leave your heart open to learn the truth.
Yeah.
Leave your heart open to forgive people. And leave your heart open to understand that your pastor is human. Don't excuse their behavior, but relate to them as such. As human, that is.
Is there a third?
And I think the third thing is, while you're finding God for yourself, it's not bad to also vet the churches you're going to. If the leadership doesn't work for you, find somewhere where the leadership works for you, as opposed to canceling church. Church is not about people. It's about your Jesus.
Yeah. Amen to that. Thank you for being on my channel.
Thank you for having me.
And feeding me, making me fat.
That's my work, though.
Guys, this is why I'm going back to Vons, so I can't avoid this. But yeah, that's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning in and staying tuned to The Way, the Truth, and the Life. I love you.
I kind of love you. I'm just getting to know you.
No, I'm sorry. You have to love them because you're on my channel. By force, she loves you guys. And most importantly, God loves you. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.